So it's Friday. I want to talk a bit about diversity and how it's our strength. Um, I disagree with that bumper sticker slogan, diversity is our strength. I think diversity, when it's focused on, is an absolute weakness. I think failure to be unified is an absolute weakness. See, we all have things that we have in common. We all have things that we don't have in common. Celebrating the things we don't have in common is kind of counterproductive, I would say. I don't see how that strengthens a country. I think unification strengthens a country. And I think, if you're coming to another country, it's on you to unify with the place you're moving to willingly, right? It's not on us to unify with you, to change our ways for you. It's on you to change your ways for us. We are your host, right? You come into someone's house and they tell you, hey, take your shoes off. You take your shoes off, right? It's not that difficult. You don't turn around and say, well, in my house we wear shoes. Well, this isn't your house. You're in my house now. Yeah, the whole saying diversity is our strength, it's such an empty-headed slogan, you know? And you can tell it's an empty-headed slogan because it's spouted by some of the most empty-headed people to ever walk the earth. No, unity is our strength. Stop celebrating the things that we have, that we don't have in common, and start celebrating the things we have in common. And that's the other thing. When it comes to diversity, you have to accept that there are some cultures, not races, all right? There are some cultures that are better, and there are some cultures that are worse. That's just common sense. If there wasn't a dichotomy in cultures, if it wasn't that some cultures are worse and some cultures are better, then why would some people move from those cultures into another culture? Why would you move from one house to another if the other house wasn't better? This is not hard. This is not rocket science. This is not like, college graduate level work here. This is like basic common sense that we can't seem to grasp, but we don't want to grasp because we're afraid of the implications. Be honest with yourself. Some cultures suck. They do. They do. Viking culture sucked. It was terrible. Native American culture sucked. It was terrible. Irish culture back in the day kind of sucked. It was pretty terrible. A lot of the cultures in Africa suck. Still to this day. Still to this day. That doesn't mean the people are bad. It just means the culture they live in sucks. Now, our culture, the American culture, one of the things I've noticed is you take a minority from, say, Vietnam that's been born and raised here in our culture, inner city kid. I can almost guarantee you, and this is from living in an inner city most of my life and traveling the world, that Vietnamese kid living in this culture is probably worse off than the Vietnamese kid living in poverty in that culture, at least culturally. We tend to take in immigrants and just... Our culture is so based on violence and greed and sex and drugs, and then we take these people and we drop them into the heart of that ethos in the inner cities and then wonder why they turn out the way they turn out. I think we have some soul searching to do on what our culture produces, is my point. It's not a knock on Vietnamese kids. It's a knock on us, the United States, and our culture of materialism and greed and hate and lust. That's what I'm more looking to condemn. Now, look, there's a silver lining here in that even though in my job I have to deal with people quite often that have to use Google Translate in order to say, where's the bathroom, for Christ's sake. Pardon my French. That annoys me. Now look, if you're 80 years old and you can't speak a lick of English, I'll give you a pass. Okay, you're 80 years old. I'm not gonna bother. I'm not gonna get upset about that. If you're 20 years old and you lived here your freaking whole life and you can't say hello in English, that's on you. There's a problem there. There's a lack of assimilation going on, lack of desire to become like the rest of us. You want to be different. Well, congratulations, you are different. If you make your identity the place where you came from, you want to hang a Irish flag and you just want to speak Gaelic and you just want to hang around Gaelic people, don't be surprised when people treat you like an Irishman, not an American. You're setting yourself apart and then wondering why people look at you differently. That's the height of stupidity. It's the height of stupidity. Now, back to the silver lining. The silver lining is, even when I'm dealing with somebody who can't speak a lick of English, I'm like, not a word. When I see something like this around their neck, right? When I see this, I have at least a base level understanding of what their purported morals are supposed to be. I have a general idea about what that person believes. I think that's a good thing. I think that is a bit of unity right there. And I think it's a shame that within the churches we allowed this diversity is our strength thing to kind of metastasize into all these different little branches of the church. It's never intended to be that way. Stop looking at each other like, different types of Christians, or, these ones are bad, or these ones are good, or these ones are crazy. You're all going down the same path. Now, I'm not saying that all religious beliefs are equal. I'm not saying that every Christian is 100% correct in their beliefs. There's, of course, big issues between mostly, the Catholic churches, Eastern and Western, and a lot of the Protestant denominations. Some big issues there. And there's some big issues between the Orthodox East and the Latin West. There's some very big issues there. But I don't think we need to focus on all the things that make us different. I don't think that's quite as important as focusing on the things that we have in common. Don't let churches or your religious beliefs become like the secular states and the beliefs of secularists around you. They want to focus on the things that they don't have in common. They want to highlight diversity. I think, if you're a serious Christian, you should want to highlight the things we have in common and try and build on that. Now, I'm not talking about ecumenism. You're never gonna get me to buy into a lot of, other beliefs of other churches that I think are off base. But I will commend them for where they get it right. I'm not going to tell you where I think, everyone in that church is bad. I'm not going to do that. There's probably better Christians in that church that I think is wrong on a lot of issues than me. It's quite possible. It's actually likely. I'm a pretty terrible Christian, but I try. But yeah, that's kind of a long-winded rant. I don't know. There's something about understanding that we have something in common and trying to focus on that I find heartening, versus let's focus on all the reasons why we're different, Well, a last little story I'll give you. I had a person I served with in the Army, actually, towards the end of my military escapades, who was convinced that they were being mistreated because they were Boricua. They came to me with it, as in, their NCO. And I was blunt with them. It's like, look, you call yourself Boricua in uniform. You've got the little punching bag gloves in your rearview mirror. You got the flag over your hood when you pull onto base. You blare your music, so everyone has to hear it. You speak Spanish as much as you possibly can whenever you can get away with it. You want to be different. You are setting yourself apart as a special and unique little butterfly. You're a special little interest group, all unto yourself. You're different, you're unique, you're special, you're set aside. Well, That's what you're asking people to do. You're asking people to treat you differently and set you aside. And then you're getting upset when they do. Does that make any sense? I don't think it does. And on to the military thing. That's, be it your skin color in the military, your sexual orientation, or your sexual identity in the military. One of the first things I learned in the military was, you are not special. You are not unique. You are not an individual. You are a fucking number, and you will do as you're told, the way you are told to do it, immediately. That's what I was taught. Now, maybe the reason our military standards and, perceptions have fallen so far is because everyone who goes into the military now gets some kind of special carve-out. You get Sikhs with turbans and Marine Jews with digital yarmulkes. Everyone's got to be different and special and unique, and that's not what the military is about. But yeah, that's kind of a long ramble, ain't it? I don't know how much trouble I'll get into this. Oh wait, I don't care.